Today is day one of the RX7 Assembly. It's a blank slate right now. All we have in it is the carpet and we have the original dash in the car. So before the motor gets here, which will be the end of this month, I need to put everything back in the car. We still need to complete the headlights, we need to build the housings, we need to put in the taillights, make sure the wiring is good, we need to put our side skirts on, our side vents, our emblems, our bumper lights, everything needs to go back in. I'm gonna be going slow with this process and taking my time with it. I wanna make sure this has a great amount of attention to detail. Because I went so far with the paint and went so deep into detail with this build, I don't wanna rush this process. So I'm gonna be taking my time with it, so as you're watching this series of building it together, hang with me, hang tight. I wanna start on the rear end of the car just because that, to me, doesn't make sense. It's the simplest place to start. I'm gonna start with the taillights, and as I go and install these, I'm gonna explain to you what they were and what we did if you don't remember, because I don't blame you. So for taillights, I got Car Shop Glow taillights. It comes with this, the left side and the right side, and it normally doesn't come with this middle piece. I sprung for the extra additional middle piece, which is the third brake light, which is smoked like the left and the right, and has an LED third brake light in the middle. So that is pretty simple. We're just gonna start by putting that back on the car. Something to remember while doing this is all the threads of the car are now covered in paint, so I'm putting hardware back on the car. It's a little bit gummy and it can be a little bit rough. Before I put nuts on and secure everything, I'm gonna have to run this dye through and clean out the threads just to make sure it stays clean, because that's something that you definitely don't wanna get too excited and rush and have that cause a potential issue down the line. Middle portion is in, now it's time to put in the left and right sides. One of the reasons as to why I'm doing the taillights first before putting in the rear carpeting and all the rear internal pieces is I really want to do a good job to hide these wires. The Car Shop Glow taillights are more than just your typical like brake lights and reverse lights. They actually do a lot of dancing and do a lot of like synchronized stuff, and because of that they require a bunch of modules and a bunch of wiring, and they actually tap into the battery of the car. I need to actually run wires from the rear end of the car all the way to the front, so hiding the wiring is important, and I want to pay very close attention to it, which is why I'm putting the taillights in first. I want to make sure I can hide those wires as best as I can so you don't see them at all.
Clap, clap, clap your hands. Clap, clap, clap your hands. Turn it out. To the left. Take it back now, y'all. One hop this time. One hop. To the left.
This is all that I'm gonna figure out what to hide best and how to set it up, but let's get the first look with the hatch down. Yeah. I am gonna take this tint off. This is like the stock tint that came on it. This is how I bought it. Well, as you can see, it has like a blue tint, a blue hue to it. I normally run all of my cars with like 3% tint, and I've always been about that look. But I think for the RX7, I might run it with no window tint at all. I kind of like the fact that you can see inside of it, and we're gonna be dressing the interior up with some pretty nice parts. So I kind of want to show that off and kind of show that we have that. Probably not today, but tomorrow I'm gonna bring in a steamer and I'll show you guys how we can remove this tint. It's pretty easy and we can remove all of that. But I'm really liking that contrast. So I decided to keep the badge holes on the car rather than filling them. So I think I have at least the Mazda logo in here. Yep. I'll probably buy another one that's a little more polished up, but for now I think we'll bring this piece back home. Yeah. I really like that chrome finish on that piece. My Mazda piece that goes right here, I'm gonna have to order a new one. The one that we have is in really bad shape and definitely don't want to run this. I don't know if I'm gonna run the RX7 badge. It's kind of really big and obnoxious. I don't actually remember where the RX7 one goes, but I'm pretty sure the Mazda is what went right here. For some reason, I normally like the badging cars, but for this, I think I am gonna run the badges. But I definitely love this old Mazda logo. We're definitely keeping that on the car. I think we'll go ahead and throw these bumper lights back in. These are the stock ones that came on the car. So this is a pretty simple install. We just take out this screw, push them in, put the clips in, and put it back in. almost think it would be kind of cool to smoke out those rear bumper lights. I'm not too sure. I'm not set on it yet, but potential option we could do in the future. I do want to know, I do have a rear diffuser coming from the car. It's not in yet. I don't want to tell you which one I'm getting or what it's going to look like, but just know that I do have a rear diffuser coming in for the car. For bumper lights, we have the CarShop Glow V1 versions. I really like these. This is one of my favorite pieces that I have on the car. One of my favorite light accessories that I got from CarShop Glow. Super amped on these. A piece I don't know if I ever showed you guys when I got it, but rather than having these stock RX7 side vents on the fender, I got them in carbon fiber. It's a direct replacement, so we should just be able to pop it out and pop these ones in. Interesting, it's like a teardrop.
I mean, the fitment's really good.
The fitment's great, but something that this did not come with is it didn't come with any fasteners or the support clip. So rather than using the holes just to snap this in, I had to apply some 3M tape, which is a little bunk, but I guess that is what you do for this part. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments down below. Do you dig it? Do you not? And again, it's kind of hard to get the exact feel of the car and if this really fits without the carbon fiber mirrors, the side skirts, and with this crazy wonky fitment in the front. Everything looks kind of off, but I think I like it. I think I dig it.
Carbon bits everywhere. It's gonna take you from front to back to front by seeing water.
So these boxes that we just pulled out consist of all the interior pieces for this car. And as I mentioned earlier, we're not gonna go full steam ahead and put all the interior quite back just yet. I have a new carpet coming in, a black carpet coming in later this week, hopefully. We can't start putting back the center column or any of like the door jambs or pretty much too much stuff, because to do all that stuff, the carpet has to be in. Today's consisted of picking the puzzle pieces that we wanna do today. So as we're going through these boxes, I think we're just gonna start with the rear end of the car and work forward, because the rear end obviously doesn't have a carpet. And what's tricky about the RX-7, which I've shown a little bit in the older videos, the rear end is pretty tricky with how you have to put pieces back together. So when I put these wires and I'm trying to put these taillight wires in, I'm trying to be as smart as I can about it so that the wiring will look its best. So it's kind of confusing.
No, it's not confusing at all, actually. Take your time, do it right the first time.
But it takes brain power.
Yeah, so we have to put this back together in an order that makes sense, but we're adding a bunch of aftermarket components like all this wiring and stuff. So what we're gonna try to do is basically run the wiring with the factory wiring. That way when all the Bose system and all that stuff goes back in, that wire is out of sight, it looks stock, it looks OEM, and this car can utilize all those aftermarket parts but still look like it, you know, it's been buttoned up right. One of those corner covers.
Yeah, so that's part of the...
Those go in the doors.
That goes in the actual doors. Yeah, right.
And this is the rear taillight. This is the rear taillight cover panel. Yep. I believe.
And I have some of the stereo system right here, which that was a big piece.
Yeah, this is an A-pillar. These we no longer use. That's where the mirrors go now. Covers this.
Yeah, that's the outdoor mirror cover. This is for the rear too. This is that rear carpet piece that goes behind the seat. So I'm gonna start piecing together the rear portion of the car. This is the left hatch. This is right above the rear tail light, and this is the right side of the hatch. Now, a lot of this stuff is pretty gross and is covered in sand and has like all this grime on it. So one thing I'm gonna do to all these pieces before we start putting it back in the car is I'm gonna thoroughly clean all of it with my interior cleaner. Not the most fun thing to do, but definitely gonna be worth it in the long run once we put everything back in. Now that the car is flawless and clean and perfect, I definitely wanna make sure all the interior pieces that go in the car match the quality of the car.
I had a dream I could buy my way to heaven. When I awoke, I spit that on a necklace. I told God I'll be back in a second. Man, it's so hard not to act reckless. To whom much is given, much is tested. Get arrested, guess until he get the message. I feel the pressure under more scrutiny. And what I do, act more stupidly. Bought more jewelry, more Louis V. My mama couldn't get through to me. The drama, people suing me. I'm on TV talking like it's just you and me. I'm just saying how I feel, man. I ain't one of the Cosby's, I ain't go to Hill, man.
Oh my God, that was...
I guess the money should have changed them. I guess I should have forget where I came from.
So here is the right side that we just cleaned. Got that cleaned up, and I even got inside these vents right here. If you look close in there, right? And here is the other side that I have not cleaned yet. Like, there's just residue and grime and sand and slime all up in this that I'm really trying to make sure I can get clean. Because when you're looking over the trunk and you open the hatch, this is what you're looking down at, and you can see the difference versus that versus this. So I'm really trying to go around every little corner and clean up every little piece before we put it back in. It's not the most exciting thing to do, but definitely end product wise, it's really gonna make a difference. To give an idea of the level of detail I'm trying to put into cleaning this, to clean both this side and this side took me about 30 minutes just for those small little vents. So I'm really trying to do everything I can to make this as clean as possible. But this middle piece is cleaned up to the best of my ability. Now I'm gonna move on to the left side. Once I've done that left side, then I will complete the whole entire rear plastic portion of the car. An hour later, with the help of Jordan, cleaned up every plastic piece that is going to be going back in the car. We cleaned the outside and the inside that doesn't even see the light of day. So we're trying to do as best detail as possible. I'm gonna put in these craft square mirrors that we got. These are one of my favorite pieces of the car. This is another accent carbon fiber piece that's gonna tie the whole car together. This is a prime example as to why we installed these mirrors before we painted the car. I caught a lot of flack from a lot of people saying, why would you install all these pieces on the car while it looks like shit, it doesn't make sense, you're doing everything backwards, you've lost all hope, blah, blah, blah. But this is the perfect example as to why I did it. Now that everything's painted, everything's already mocked up, I don't need to go back in, drill, and cut on this car, make all these slotted holes to install these mirrors while the car is in its most beautiful condition. If I would have been doing this now, I would have been running the risk of like using all those tools in the brand new paint and maybe risk nicking something or hitting something, and it's unnecessary, it doesn't make sense. The reason why I did it the way that I did is now that it's all ready to go, all I need to do is just put it back together. It's already lined up, I already know it fits, it's already test fitted, and it just makes the process a million times easier. I'm getting pretty tired, and Blue is alone right now, and I need to let him out before he poops in the house. There's a huge mess of pieces all around the warehouse. We got a good amount done on the car today. There's a lot of things I still want to do, but I'm just getting tired. I gotta get Blue, so I think we'll just finish up tomorrow. Jordan is leaving tonight, so we're not gonna see him anymore, but our collab will be coming out soon. I'm super stoked on it.
Stay tuned.
When I do these daily uploads and I'm like very consistent and I do like 21 videos in 3 weeks, I feel like a lot of the time some of you can miss certain videos and then you develop questions and it goes on and you feel like I never address certain things, and a lot of you develop questions. So I think this is long overdue. I put on Twitter, tweet me your questions, and I'm gonna answer them in today's video. So I'm gonna pick 3 to 5 questions and answer them. I'll probably pick the most popular questions on here. Normally certain questions that wanna get answered get favorited and they get bumped to the top. So we're gonna start from the top and go all the way down to the bottom. First question is from Jason Rosales 27. I'm gonna butcher your names, I'm sorry. He asks, will you ever put together a car meet for your fans, like a meet and greet? I haven't talked about this too much, but this year I am planning to go on tour. I think we're gonna do about 12 different cities ranging from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast. I can't say anything for certain just yet, but I can say probably within the next 3 weeks I can confirm at least 10 separate cities that I'll be going to. Now as far as a like personalized car meet of like us, just a meet and greet in a parking lot, we can't do those anymore simply because there's too many of us, which is a cool problem to have. But if I was to give you guys a location and we all met there at a certain time, there's just too many of us and the city shuts us down and the cops come. We've done it a couple times in the past years, and even at that rate, we shut down parking lots and shut down streets and we just got in trouble. So I'm gonna try to stick to the events and then give you guys tour dates. So if you're in the area, you can come say what's up. Would you rather have a supercar or a cheap car that you can build and have a connection with? To be honest, I don't know, because I haven't owned really either either of those. I don't really consider the GTR like a super car, like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or a McLaren, but I guess I will choose the cheaper car and build it up to crazy power because that's pretty much what the RX-7 is. I bought the RX-7 for about $4,000, and if I haven't said it or you haven't heard it, my budget for the RX-7 is around $70,000. That's about where the budget's capping out and how much we're putting into it. And the numbers we're gonna get out of that, it's gonna be pushing some supercar numbers. So I guess I would choose a cheap car and build a connection with. Is it hard running your business, making daily vids, and having a normal social life? Yes. It really is, and how I pretty much categorize that, out of those 3 categories you just listed, you can only choose 2 of those. You can't have all 3. Or if you want to do all 3, you're gonna do them at 50% rather than 100% and choose 2, if that makes sense. Right now, I'm focusing so much of my time in making daily videos and trying to improve my content and work on the business side of stuff. I don't have a normal social life at all anymore. That's something that I've kind of sacrificed at the moment, but how I see it is that social life that I'm sacrificing now is getting me to live this life that I've like dreamed of and literally would think about as I fall asleep like years ago, and now I'm living it. I don't really hang out with my friends outside of the car community too much anymore. They're still my best friends. I love them to death, and I still see them like multiple times a month. But as far as like going out every Friday night, Saturday night, getting drunk, like going to parties, you know, doing all that stuff, I simply just really don't do that anymore. When is your next car purchase? I have too many cars, you guys know that. Hopefully not for a long time. I don't know. If something pops up, it's too good of a deal, I'm gonna have to buy it. You guys know that, but I have nothing planned. Would you consider putting how much your projects cost you? I understand sometimes it's for safety reasons, but I would also like to be interested in how much it takes to actually get a project car. I'm assuming you're asking like how much money is in each car? I mean, it's hard to put a dollar amount, but I mean, there's a lot. It sounds like you're referencing because you wanna have a budget for your personal project car, and everyone has a different budget. So your budget's gonna be different than my budget's gonna be different from the next guy, and the next guy, and the next guy. So there's no set budget. You can work anywhere from $1,000, you know, minimum to whatever you want. There's no set budget price, but the 350 is probably close to like $70,000 at least into that car. The RX-7, I already told you. The BRZ probably has like 50 or something. Yeah. I don't know, those are just a few that I can estimate that they're pretty close to. And this will be our last question. What's your favorite memory that you've made because of cars or because of your involvement with cars? Probably my favorite memory that I've had with the whole car scene is going to certain car meets and like announcing that I'm gonna be at a certain location for like a meet and greet and just like completely shutting down everything. The first memory that comes to mind was AutoCon last year, which I will be at this year. You'll hear about that later. AutoCon last year in LA 2017. That was like the first like really big organized car event that I did, and throughout the whole entire convention center, we had a line of like everyone who watched the channel wrapping around the whole entire convention center and then outside that line. It was so big that all the name brands and like the big companies in the car community, like it made them turn heads and be like, who is that? Why is he important? What's the significance of that person? Like, we don't know who that is. And all those big industries, it like put a big spotlight like on like social media influencers and YouTube creators and creators in general, which is like one of my biggest goals with what I'm doing is like to show the industry of cars that it's evolving and it's changing, and the younger generation is what's gonna form. And I feel like a lot of the older industry people don't want to invest in John with 8,000 Instagram followers who's making awesome content with his build that's different than the rest. They'd rather sponsor Philip, a 42-year-old who bought his car already built and goes to multiple events but never posts on social media. I hate that, and I think before YouTube got really big for me, I love getting sponsored, and I love like, you know, having that like, I don't know, when you're saving for parts, it's awesome having a company be like, we're gonna give you free parts because we think you can help us build the brand. That's awesome. And if I can shift that direction and get more people sponsored and help people get parts and build their cars through social media, because anybody can do social media. You don't need $1 million to have a cool social media account, which it's fair for everybody. I love that. So it was a whole bunch of things. It was meeting you guys, it was like shutting down the whole entire thing and like really grabbing the attention of like the older industry that was like, YouTube, that's interesting. Yeah, that's it guys. That concludes this video. I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll probably do more RX7 Assembly. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace out and keep moving forward.
And I'm feeling